Let's begin with a simple question. If you took a step back from your marketing just now, could you clearly explain what's driving your sales? And I don't mean activity, nor the effort that you're putting in, but the actual link between what you're doing and the money coming in. Now, for most established businesses, that question is strangely a lot harder to answer than it should be. And that's not because the marketing's doing anything wrong. It's because what's being measured is wrong. All right, so let me explain. Most businesses track loads of stats: website sessions, click-through rates, social impressions, email open rates, ad spend, cost per click. Right, the list is pretty much endless. And these numbers are really easy to find, and they update automatically, and they look like evidence that something is actually happening. But that's beguiling, because what they do not tell you is which of those things is connected to a sale. That gap, the gap between the activity you can measure and the commercial outcome that you actually want, is where most marketing decisions go wildly wrong. So imagine you make a change, results improve, but you're not quite sure if the improvement came from the change or it came from something else entirely, like a seasonal uptick or a referral that just happened to arrive at that moment, or a campaign from 3 months ago that just finally converts. So you carry on, and the next time results dip, the same question is just back on the table. Now, here's what I've found working inside established businesses over the years. And that is, most of them are measuring activity when they should be measuring movement. You see, activity tells you that things are happening. Clicks, sessions, opens, posts going out. It feels like progress. And to be fair, sometimes it is. But movement tells you something completely different. It tells you whether a potential customer is getting closer to the decision, whether someone who didn't know you last month is now actively considering you, and whether the leads coming in are the right kind, or whether they're just a sort of feel-good volume. You see, activity and movement are not the same thing, and when you only track activity, you end up making decisions that are based on noise rather than actual clear signals that are coming from your marketing. The practical result is this: you can't tell which part of your marketing deserves more investment, which part is leaking leads, and which part is doing the work that actually is generating revenue. And without that clarity, the obvious sounding move, i.e. trying something different, spending a bit more, switching agency, whatever that might be, well, that will almost never solve the problem. So let me give you 3 examples of movement data to track that will give you a much clearer picture. The first is new qualified contacts, not total traffic or impressions, but people who fit your profile and have taken a meaningful step towards you. So they've registered, or they've inquired, or they've engaged with you in some way that matters. The second is conversion through the whole journey, not just whether the website generates an inquiry, but what happens after that. So someone inquires. Do they get followed up quickly? Does that follow-up lead to a conversation? Does the conversation lead to a proposal? Does the proposal win? Each of these is a conversion point that demonstrates movement. If you are only to just track the first one, then you'd be attributing too much success to it and not acknowledging the other conversions that followed afterwards. The third is which channels are actually producing revenue, not the ones which are generating the most clicks or the lowest cost per click, but which ones are producing customers. You see, attribution, it's never perfect. A sale may touch multiple channels before it closes, and that's fine, right? The question is not, can we prove all of this mathematically? The question is, when you look at where your customers actually come from, which channels keep appearing, and which ones produce activity but don't necessarily generate a good volume of sales. Right, so these 3 examples of movements will tell you something that standard marketing dashboards almost certainly will not. And that is whether your marketing is moving people towards a sale or just moving. Now, if your marketing feels difficult to explain, if you cannot easily say what is driving the good months or what's suppressing the quiet ones, it's typically a straightforward thing to fix once you know where to look. Now, if this sounds familiar, then I post regularly on this kind of thinking, so please do follow me. And if you would rather just talk through what's happening in your business specifically, do feel free to get in touch. There are details somewhere around this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.